conversation, main emphasis on what need to be talked about, and no longer be around the Murray Bush, but really talking about things that are impacting our lives.
Right.
So we're going to allow you to come on with us to share by way of text, comment
in the comment section.
Yes.
If you want a comment or a question, and we'll try to address those questions or comments that come through that way in the comment section. But if you want to make sure, just text it to Dad or text it to Prophet, what your comment or your question is, and we'll try to address it on the live. You know, just to kind of make aware of your thoughts on what we're talking about tonight.
So let's be prayerful for different people with them. There's Pastor Anthony as he's recovering. So good to see Mother Tina in service Sunday.
Ooh, just got me so happy.
We had like a family reunion.
Oh my! It just to see the two of them sitting there together. It was like a promise from God.
Yes.
That this manifested, and the prayers that have been going forth for their recovery and for their restoration. To see them come and be in service together after such a long period of time, it just brought my heart.
I got so excited. I had to leave the pulpit to go greet Mother Tina with a kiss.
Oh my goodness!
I'm so glad to see her because it's been a
I
while.
hope you kissed her enough for both of us.
I did.
Okay.
But, anyway, it was so grateful. We're so grateful to have seen you in service and look forward to the future. Well, honey, let's go ahead and talk and let you go ahead and do what you're going to do so we can see what the people got to say to us this afternoon.
Well, embracing the remake was kind of something that kind of just came out of last week's Q&A that we had. And so it really, the message we had been working on something already, but the title of the message just kind of went to that thought, because this is exactly what it is that is going on for us who have taken this time to embrace being made aware of things that have been impacting our mental health, and gave us the opportunity to really look at those things, even though it may not be the best thing, it may not necessarily feel so good to do, but we are taking that step forward, that courage, that courageous step forward, and facing our giants, facing the things that have impacted us so over the years, over the months, over the years, whatever it is that we're facing, and really allow God to heal us in those areas. Because really the Father just is not going to overtake us and do it.
Yeah.
We have to ask God to do it.
But it's amazing when that statement was made, embracing the makeover.
The remake.
It just opened up a can of discovering other things that cause you to say, you know what? Yeah, I've been here, I've done this, I experienced this, but I want to embrace the makeover.
The rebuild.
The rebuild.
I keep thinking about the $6 million man or the $6 million woman, and Lee Majors was the one who was the one that they made over. He had gotten in an accident or with his plane or something, and so he lost limbs and arms and things of that nature. He was battered, and so he was on the brink of death. And so what they did is they took artificial limbs and machinery, and they rebuilt him so that he was bigger, better, faster than he was before. And so I believe that this is what God is doing in us. What the enemy thought was going to tear us down, rip us apart, pull us to our low point for us never to rise again, I believe in the remake, in the makeover, we'll be better than we were before. Even though Lee Majors, when he took off his shirt, you can see his scars, what had happened to him, but it didn't stop the fact that he was better, faster, stronger than he was before his incident, before his trauma. And I believe with us, if we allow God to touch us the way those surgeons touched Lee Major, we will be in the same position. Yes, you'll see my scars. Yes, you'll hear my present. But at the end of the day, those things I'm going to stand on, be taller, be larger than life in those things that once was the thing that sat on top of me and held me down. You know, we stand on top of our garbage, on top of what the enemy throw at us. You know, he throw it, we bat it down and stand on it. That's how we do it. And so I believe that this is what embracing the remake is all about. It's all about your transparency. This is what it is. I can no longer look away from what it is.
You know, in the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 28, this will definitely compliment what you just spoke of. And Paul writes to the Roman church, he said, related to some things that they transitioned to have gone through. He said, and we know that all things, not something, but all things, to them who are the called according to his purpose. And when you think about that, you know, all the trauma that, you know, people face dealing with things that have happened to them. And, you know, this kind of like a man and woman situation here. Trauma is trauma. Because we're talking about women mental health. You know, so many things that women have faced and counted from, you know, denied the right to vote. These just some of the social
any and all things.
And then to domestic violence, the women have gone through and create laws to protect a woman from being abused by her husband or a partner. So that tells you that when it comes out to the remake, that if it's bad, God can work it for the good. And then what for the good means it's a history. It's a deep memory, but it's a memory where you can say, you know what, God brought me through that.
Right.
It didn't make sense at the time.
Right.
Now I'm saying God put you in a situation, because a lot of times we put ourselves in these situations, but God take that situation that you put yourself in to bring you out of it.
And even if you didn't put yourself in that situation, I'm just saying, if trauma was something out of your control, you know, there are situations that we put ourselves in that we don't. There's some things that's just part of life. You know, just everyday living. You know, things that weigh down on us and so it can be personal and business related. All of these things can get us to a place where we may feel that our mental health is impacted. And the thing is that we don't have to pretend that it's good when it's not good, because we have to get
programmed to
we have because we're blessed and highly favored. I get it, you know. We blessed and highly favored, and God. And how dare we admit that we're having a moment? How dare we admit as believers that I'm not feeling it today? You know, we act as though we don't, like somehow or another when we came to Christ that all of these things got put to the side. No, folk kept listen. Christ came to the earth, and from the time he hit the earth, in the human form, trauma after another. And what makes us think we're exempt, I have no idea. But what it is that with Christ, we can endure all things. We can overcome all things, and we can help others to overcome in our testimonies. We're made overcomers by what? By the blood of the Lamb and by the what? Words of confession. Me telling somebody my story. And that's how we're made overcomers. But I wanted to say before we get any further, because October is that month that one of those months that I take kind of personal. Went and found some of the things that impact our mental psyche or our mental health when it comes down to the things we've gone through. And the month of October, and there are other things in other months, but this is, since we're in October, I thought I'd just go ahead and do these. But this is National ADHD Awareness Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Bullying Prevention Month, Domestic Violence Month, Down Syndrome Awareness Month, Liver Awareness Month, Healthy Lung Month, Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And so there's Sudden Death Syndrome, SIDS Awareness Month. And so there's so many others. Mental Illness Awareness Week comes in this month, as well as Sudden Cardiac Arrest Awareness Month. All in the month of October. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that people, we just had pastors in ministry that we are aware that just had experienced some of these things that we have just named off. And this is impactful for them. And to say that, you know, one moment your spouse is here and the next moment your spouse is gone. without, you know, any indication that this is about to happen, I can only imagine that your mental health has got to be impacted greatly. And so,
you know, along with that, pre-COVID, before COVID, there were a lot of things happening when COVID hit. Just the list of pastors that have died has been majorly impactful to myself and to others. And so you never know what may happen in a person's life. And it's why when we have these awareness opportunities that we take the full advantage of it to talk about it. So this gets back to having that conversation.
Having the conversation. And then I always tell people, don't feel bad that you are not able to embrace all of these awarenesses. We're not supposed to embrace all of these awarenesses. What it is that we become passionate about the one that impacted us. And then you give it all you got in that one. You know, like we have Mother Kenny who or had breast cancer, overcame breast cancer by the blood of the Lamb, and it's become her passion. Breast cancer awareness. And so Mother Kenny is going to run with a fervency where someone who has not experienced that may not run as fervent as she does, but they may run fervent about domestic violence. And be, you know, headstrong about making sure people are aware about this. And so we don't have to embrace every aspect of these things that are going on in these months as far as awareness, but we try to support as much as we can in as many as we can. But I always say whatever it is that's impactful to your heart and impactful to your, you know, how you feel about something, if it feels like it's just more than you, this might be the one you can get involved in and really give it some leg workout and getting it out to the public.
Now let's talk about a few things that you wrote for Sunday on how to
or don't deny.
Don't deny. Don't deny what you're facing. So how often do you think women do that?
We do it all the time. We walk in denial about what we are in the middle of, especially domestic violence. When it comes to even our health, women in our health, we will deny what's going on in our own bodies. You know, especially if we have what we call a workload, it is heavy. You know, we'll put off going to the doctor and all this stuff, other things. We'll do that. Things that we have encountered in our lives that have been traumatic. It's so easy for us to pack away and put it away and just say, you know, I'm just not going to deal with that because it was too painful to think about. And so it's not uncommon. It's very common that we will walk in denial about what we have gone through or what we're facing. And people who are in domestic violence situations will deny where they are publicly. Like, we'll say, well, no man will ever put their hands on me and do this to do that to me or whatever, and then go home and be violently abused by a man. Denying the fact that you're saying what you won't put up with, and here you are living the very thing you say you won't put up with. That's denial. That's not putting two and two together.
Well, speaking of that, because that is a situation that does happen and occurs a lot. There are laws on the book that will protect women, but then it's that thing called little boy that cried wolf. And what I mean by that is nothing can change unless you take position.
Well, there's a thin line there between denial and sometimes you feel hopeless there. Like you have learned to live in that domestic violence situation, and you feel like you can be okay as long as you do this, do that, and don't walk the boat too much this way or that way. And then sometimes it's just plain blatant fear. You know, you have been minimized because that was me. You know, I didn't feel like I could do it on my own or get out and get away from this person. They seemed larger than life. And then a lot of that was because the person was so loved by everybody.
So it had a popularity.
And so it put me in bondage in a lot of ways. To the world, he looked like a good guy. He looked like a great provider. He looked like this, that. And he was a minister. He was, you know, all of these things that you would say, oh, he's a great man of God or whatever. And in actuality, come home and terrorize his family. So sometimes you feel trapped, and then people on the outside have a tendency to be, to judge the matter without discerning. They go with what they look and see, and then they have an opinion, and then they take sides, and then now it's not just you against that person, but you against that person and all his allies and followers and all of that. And so you feel pressure, you feel minimized, you feel like, you just need to get in line and just deal with it.
Well, and I hear with that with clear understanding, but I think we'll make it complicated for a lot of men folks who says, why not just leave? Why not just go? You spoke very clearly. It's the fear factor.
It's fear.
But what I find challenging for me is when godly women go out and get involved with ungodly men, which no one like we have those tendencies. Now, not just them church men. I've just been on pastor.
No, I'm gonna say
I'm not saying.
Don't think every man, because this man was a minister, ordained. He was ordained. He was ordained elder. He could teach that Bible. He could teach the word. He knew that all they saw him was as a no-nonsense kind of preacher. That's what they saw him as. But, so every man in the church ain't a godly man.
I totally agree.
And every man in the world ain't a bad dude to have as a husband. I'm just gonna say that to be, we don't want to have that unequally yoked, because you don't want someone that's not of your faith. Yeah. But I would not dare say that every man that doesn't necessarily go to church is a bad man. I'm just saying that.
And I agree with that. What I'm saying is, when you go out as a woman of God and you go get an ungodly man, the chances of having those problems can be very likely. Not so every unsaved man is an abuser,
right?
But it just changed the dynamics of how we operate in our faith.
Right.
Because as a pastor, I've given counsel to many pastors' wives where their husbands were.
Right.
Just that. In front of us, he did one thing else.
Right.
But that had a major impact on the mental health facing those women. But I had to put myself in a position not to be biased or be prejudging or saying, well, just do that.
Right.
Because it's easier said than done. But how do you embrace the remake not to be there in the future? So now that you as a woman,
first thing you have to do is what we're talking about, is let God work on you. I always tell people, when you've been broken like that and traumatized and you at low points, that's not the time to get in relationships. That's not the time. You need a healing and a wholeness. You need to know who you are as a person, so that you don't find yourself settling just to have somebody. You know your worth, your value. God has already sanctioned who you are. You know it without a shadow of doubt. And you're expecting what? As a king kid, I'm expecting a prince. Nothing less. And so that's what you have to get healed, so you don't go out and find Jack Booty number 2.
You said it clean version.
I did that.
But let me ask this question. Make this statement. When it comes to the impact of a woman's mental health and being in a domestic violence situation, it is so not uncommon, like you said, people to have judgment, people to take sides, and especially church. But we ought to
we the worst.
We ought to be discerned.
We the worst.
We can discern the cat meow, but we can't discern.
And this is the thing. We have people who have been in those situations, and still forget. Like, how do you stay? How did you go back? Listen, if you've been there, you know how. You got to get in that person's mind, that woman's mind, and remember, so you can help navigate her out of it. But to sit on the seat of judgment as if you don't understand how she might have got there, how she might be going back and forth, how she go back with that joke and he already did this to her, that. You know how we women are. Women know how we are. When we love that thing, we love that thing. And we'll stay, and we'll try to, every time we think he's going to turn the corner and do right, he can do right for 2 days. We say, okay, this is it right here. He going to do it. he don't have to have a long-term record. He can just do right for a couple of minutes. And we'll think, okay, this is God doing it right now. and we'll give them another shot. The next thing you know, we're back in it for another long term to the next flare up. And so it's a return, and that was me. I kept thinking, this is the turn. Okay, this is the turn. Is this the? Every time you're thinking he's about to get it. Because your heart is there and you want him to get it because you want him. So this is how women that are in domestic violence, this is one of the ways. Let me just say, this is one of the ways they stay, because they love him and they really want him to change. They want him. They just don't like his behavior, but they love him.
That's understandable.
Yeah, so this is how women, and when you have children, it compounds. Now you own homes together. God forbid, if you're in business together, you go to the same church. It's a whole lot of things just compound it and make it that much harder for you to just do that hard break.
I've learned to be very sensitive when it comes down to this subject matter, and not speak on the platform of a male that has not been abusive to a woman or wife. But the truth is that this is an ongoing problem, and that women mental health is impacted, and especially in the church. When women come to church and they're in the church and they're at home dealing with this, especially you say they're with a man who's supposed to be a man of principle, a man of standard, and he's doing these different things at home, and she's protecting him because she don't want him to be out by the church. The truth of the matter is,
a lot of reasons why she protects. She saves his image. She saves his, sometimes, I know I did. I saved his military career. There was a lot of times if I had just spoke up, that would have been over. So I thought, well, if I tell, then he'll get in trouble. They'll kick him out of the military. We'll be destitute. See, I'm still thinking about being there. He'll be destitute. We won't have the. See, I ain't even thinking about leaving. I'm telling him he's staying. Because I'm already thinking he won't be able to provide for us. Blah 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 blah. So my mind is still not in the fact tell and leave. I'm still thinking I gotta tell. I don't know, to maybe get him to stop. Thinking that might be one of the things that'll frighten him, but no, it's not. But I started rationalizing all the reasons not to expose him.
So when you address a woman that's facing that domestic violence, which is no doubt is affecting mental health, what is your approach?
I paint the picture.
Okay.
I don't leave off no colors. I talk about the hitting. I talk about the financial abuse. I talk about the mental abuse, the name calling, and I paint the picture. How does that make you feel? I paint the picture. How does this make you, feel diminished? Do you like that part? I let them see the full picture of what sometimes we set aside because we still looking at them, the person. But we set aside the bad behavior when we think about, do I want to leave? And so we start rationalizing things, and we forget about the behavior. We start thinking, well, it's not that bad, it's only like one jump off, and then you start to believe some of the lies,